Hello everyone, Kevin Fay here with the Casa Grande Public Library giving you another iPhone tip of the week. And this week's tip, I'm going to go over the Facetime app. Facetime, it's used to actually give you a face-to-face conversation, video conference call with somebody or anybody else. It can be up to 32 people at a time. And with everybody kind of trying to keep their distance with each other, FaceTime has been used a lot more frequently these days. So with all that, let's go ahead and begin. I have my FaceTime app in my communications folder, my COMM folder. So I'm going to tap on that and you'll see that there's the FaceTime app. The FaceTime app is green and it says FaceTime next to it, not to be confused with the Zoom app, which is blue and pretty much the same icons, but it says Zoom next to it. We're not doing Zoom today. Zoom's a lot more complicated, but FaceTime, it's pretty simple. Now, when you want to start a FaceTime conversation with somebody, you can only do it with somebody that has an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac computer. It only works with Apple devices. So when you tap on the FaceTime app, it'll list the FaceTime conversations that you have had in the past. And if you want to FaceTime that particular person, you would go ahead and tap on that conversation and it would call them up like a regular phone call, but you would also see a video of yourself and that person. Now, if you don't see a conversation that you would like to have with a particular person, you can tap on the plus symbol in the top right corner and you would type in the person's name that you wish to have a conversation with. Now, I'm going to call up Julie Lash here. And it'll give you the option for audio only or video. Video includes both sound and video, whereas audio just includes the sound. So we'll go ahead and call her up. Now, the sound on my FaceTime call cut out as soon as the FaceTime call cut. So I'm going to explain a little bit about it. Now, I called Julie here. And she answered, she said, hi, and she has all these different expressions. And I continue to talk, and she's getting kind of bored. But you can see there's options, that little menu option appears, and it goes away rather quickly. So if you have something that you want to choose from that menu, you have to choose it kind of quickly. And then I showed the options. You have the ability to mute yourself. And you also have the ability to switch the camera focus. And then there's also the ability to have effects. So those are all things that you can do with that little menu that pops up when you swipe, and it pops up when you tap on the middle of the screen. Now, if you bring that menu up and then you swipe on the bottom of it upwards, it will bring up some more options that you can do during this FaceTime call. And one of those options is to add a person. Now, I had a little bit of a struggle bringing up the menu, but it should come up shortly here. And I'll show you what that add a person option is. Here it is. Yep, there's the add a person right there. And you can add up to 32 people to a FaceTime call, as long as they all have iPhones or iPads. So yeah, that was the FaceTime conversation that I had. Yeah, FaceTime, you can use it again only with iPhone or Apple devices, iPhone or iPad, or a Mac computer. You can add up to 32 people at a time. Now, when you're adding somebody, if they're already in your contacts list, you can type in their name, or if you don't have their name, if they're not in your contacts list, then you have to put in their phone number or their Apple ID. You can see somebody that I had a FaceTime conversation with, the G Morgan, on the screen there. That's their Apple ID. So if you know their Apple ID and their device isn't a phone number, then that's what you would need to use. A lot of iPads use the Apple ID instead of a phone number. And yeah, 32 people at a time. The other thing to keep in mind is that having a FaceTime conversation takes up a lot of bandwidth. So if you don't have if you're on a limited cellular plan, you probably want to do this on a Wi-Fi connection. That way it doesn't take up any data. So keep that in mind as well. The other thing to keep in mind too, it's always proper etiquette to let the other person know that you want to FaceTime them. If you FaceTime them kind of randomly and they pick it up and they're in their pajamas, they may not appreciate that you just called them up on a FaceTime conversation. So do try to let the other person know that you wish to FaceTime conversation with them. Anyway, that does it for this week's iPhone tip of the week. Stay tuned for the next iPhone tip of the week.